When I was in 7th grade, I was playing basketball, and it was on like a really small court. And as I was like running down the court, I ran into basically the wall at the end of the court.
She broke her leg by being passionate about the sport of basketball that she was playing at the time, and wanting to make sure that whoever was on breakaway wasn't going to score. It was an ugly injury, but you know, it happened because of how aggressively and how passionate she played. And after that injury, and she came back to play more ultimately, it did not stop her.
It was 6 months or so of rehabilitation, healing, and then rehab to follow. That, I mean, that's a big hurdle for someone that age to overcome. So I remember some days were better than others, but yeah, she was definitely driven to get back to the point where she could play and be fast and play like she used to.
Up until that point, I had always had this like goal in mind of like, I want to be a soccer player. I want a D1 scholarship. Like, this is what defines me. And when I essentially had sports taken away from me and couldn't do any sports, as a 13-year-old, I kind of reevaluated my goals in life and said, you know what, I still love soccer. I still want that to be my thing, but my original dream of going to North Carolina on a D1 scholarship wasn't really the priority anymore, because I realized that it could be taken away so quickly. So choosing a school that I felt comfortable, choosing a place where I could be close to my family, those kinds of things ended up taking a higher priority.
One of the things that I realized when she went to college to play is she really wanted to play to have fun and enjoy the game. And that was part of the reason why she chose Carroll.
My freshman year, when we made it to the NCAA tournament, was probably one of the coolest experiences. It had never happened for Carroll before, and it was just this level of success that I had never really thought I would see. So even though we didn't do well in that game, just the idea of making it there and progressing as a team to that point was really cool.
Her second year, we went undefeated in the conference, and that was, in large, she would say it's a team sport, but I would say it's in large part due to what she was doing on the field, scoring goals, and the preparation that she put in practice. So that first undefeated season, fantastic. Going to the NCAA tournament for the first time, that was an amazing accomplishment. And she was Offensive Player of the Year for the conference, which was impressive. So a lot of these things nobody had done before. She was one of the first all-region players.
Years ago, it was apparent that Joe Sikora needed to be the first men's soccer player inducted to the Carroll Hall of Fame. And I think it was apparent early on in Julia's career, and then particularly at the end, that she was she was going to be the first. And again, she spearheaded Carroll women's soccer and probably Carroll athletics. But to be the first is something that no one can take from her. And what a cool thing to be the pioneer of the pioneers.
I wouldn't be where I am today without Jason. I'm a very firm believer that everything happens for a reason. So even going back as far as, the injury that I experienced and all those things, like ultimately I feel like in some way led me to Carroll. But my job teaching today, Jason also is a social studies teacher, and so when I was looking for a student teaching placement, he actually advocated for me to student teach at Muskego High School where he teaches, and so I had my student teaching experience there and ultimately was hired, and that's where I've been working for the last 14 years.
I'm so proud of who she was and what she did, and even more proud of who she's become.
I know that I definitely wouldn't be here today without the teams that I was a part of, because I definitely wasn't the only person on the field, and they were a big part of any success that I had. I was lucky to play with a lot of really talented players who, they got me the ball and I put it in the back of the net, but they had to do a lot of work to get me to that point too. So it was never really about me. Soccer's a team sport.